Uvumi, Quyanaq Qaikaffi Pangma Nunaptingnun Uvanga Margaret Elias. Good afternoon and welcome to Where We Live Now. My name is Margaret Elias, and on today's show we have Donna and John Keogak.
Hello, my name is John Keogak, born in Aklavik, 1958. Moved to Sachs Harbour in 1967. I was orphaned at an early age. And, should I keep on with that? Or
It's up to you, whatever you're most comfortable with.
Well, I was orphaned at an early age and had a pretty rough life. But moving here, I think, was a good option, or not option. It wasn't my choice. It was. But after moving here, just settled in. Still went to school in Stringer Hall for 7 years after I lost my parents in 1975, 74. I was old enough to, I turned 16, and that's when I was still under welfare that time. And when I turned 16, he asked me what I want to do, as I could make my own decisions then. So by then we had already started trapping here. I went to school 2 years here, grade 3 and grade 6. And we started trapping early, and so when they asked me what I wanted to do when I turned 16, I told them I wanted to be a trapper, because them days it was, white foxes were pretty high prices, and everybody was trapping here, and it was a big community then. It was just about 200 people then.
Whoa.
So started trapping, trapped about 5 years, I think. After that, or maybe not even that, 3, 4 years. And started working, and found out it was a lot easier to make money working. So, just worked here for a few years, hauling water and doing sewage. Then Dome Petroleum came up and worked with them for a few years, which was really good, you know. Going on shift every summer, 3 years, and was okay, good.
And when you met Donna?
It was just about then.
Around then.
Yeah, we were 19. It was long ago.
Donna, if you can introduce yourself and who your family is and where you grew up.
My name's Donna Keogak. I grew up here in Sachs Harbour. My parents are Andy and Winnie Carpenter. I lived here all my life. The only time I was away from Sachs is when I was, for 4 years, when I went to Gurlier Hall for school. But when I was a little girl, there was absolutely no electricity or anything here.
Oh, wow.
There was no phones.
That's what happened when I moved up here.
It was a totally different world than what we have now. Now everything is so easy, but expensive.
Yeah.
Long ago, it was a lot of work, hard work growing up. When we didn't have skidoos or anything. We were travel around dog teams. And he was right, there was a lot of people here then. There was, I think the most we had was around, 170 people here at one time? Something around that. But everybody helped each other out then. It was really a close community, but we were very traditional, and a lot of us still are. That's how we raised our kids. My kids can live off the land, and we have no problem. If they want to go out hunting, they could go out on their own. But they grew up the way we grew up.
Yeah.
Because we showed them everything on how to live out on the land. They knew the importance of the land, and they know that, and they still were passing it on to our grandchildren too.
They all grew up in tents from April to September.
Not only them, I think your kids, but also everybody, your nieces and nephews, and taking people out in the land, and just that's what your life still is today. You know, like for people, sometimes when I have people on my interview, they always say, life back then. It's still life right now for you guys. Yeah. You never stopped.
It's important, living in a community like this, it's important to know how to live on the land. And that's one thing about this community, is that pretty well everybody knows how. There are a few that don't go out, but we try and encourage them to try and go out. For example, this summer we took a group of 50 people from around the ISR, and not only ISR, from Yukon and from Yellowknife even, to our camp. And we spent, 10 days down there?
It was a huge group.
It was a huge group, and they enjoyed it. It was but that was the hottest summer that we ever had.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes, it was the hottest summer. We've never swam in a lake.
Yeah.
We were swimming in a lake.
Yeah.
And it was strange because there was even though it was hot, we were out there for that many days, there was not very much fish.
Oh, really?
Not in the lake. Probably because the water was really hot, so the fish probably stayed in the coldest part. But there was no fish in the lake.
That's really strange, because my memories of going out to Middle Lake is like set a fish net and you get all your fish in one night. Pretty much. Yeah.
It's not like that this year. Last year it was like that. We got a lot of fish last year, but this year there was hardly any fish. I think it has to do with the weather.
The heat, yeah.
But there was a lot of fish in the river down this year.
Yeah. And that was strange by itself, because we never used to. You used to set net in a river too behind our camp, and you get maybe one. We're lucky to get one or two. And this year we got lots. Everybody got lots.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Really changing, I guess, the climate.
Yeah. But we all just can't fish in the lake, you fish in the river. It just change where you go. Yeah. So you mentioned that you guys, from when you said April to August, living out in the land. I've only experienced like 3 springs with you guys, 3, 4 falls, but every single one of them were huge adventures. Banks Island, I'm gonna assume you guys know almost the whole island.
Well, this part anyway.
This side of it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I always wanted to live on the land. I grew up in the bush most of my younger days. My mom taught me how to set snares and trap, and so I just loved it out in the land. And I always wanted to live on the land.
And we actually did that for a while.
We just do most we could while we're, living in the community. Go out every opportunity we got and keep our traditional ways. Really good. I always wanted to live on.
Do you guys mind sharing stories of when you were either out hunting or fishing?
When we moved to the camp for a while, it was really different. I stopped working for a while, and so we decided we're going to go live out in the land. So we moved everything out there. We stayed out there for 6 months.
Wow.
It went fast.
Yeah.
It was different. John came back to town whenever he needed some stuff, some things and that. And it was just mostly me and him, but a few times we brought Emery with us. Because Emery loves it. But it was peaceful. It was, what we seen out there was, what we feel out there is so different than when we feel in town. There is calmness. We don't have to worry about anything. We don't have to worry about the time or anything. We look out our window and we see birds and animals. Because we've seen caribou come right up to our camp.
What? There was caribou at Middleway?
Yeah. There we've seen geese all around us. And it was an adventure, and that's one thing that I would mind to do again. The only reason we came back was because it was July. You do not want to be at the lake in July.
Lots of mosquitoes?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so I'm going to touch on that a little bit. Remember when there were no mosquitoes?
Yes.
Yes, yeah.
I came here in 2007, and people were running from trucks to houses because there's so much bugs. But everyone said this is the first time there was I was confused. Everyone said that's the first time there was mosquitoes here.
No, we've had mosquitoes all the time, just that it never used to be bad.
Oh.
Because when I was a little girl, we never used to have rain here.
Oh.
Maybe once in the summertime, If we're lucky, we get rain once, but we never used to have rain.
Yeah.
We never used to have lightning or thunder. We never seen that.
How strange.
Never. So we never used to have very much mosquitoes long ago, and it never used to bother us. We used to have mosquitoes, blue flies, and bumblebees. That's the only bugs we had. Now there's all different kind of bugs.
What?
Oh yes.
So you guys came back in July just to escape
Escape.
all of it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in the summertime, we don't stay at the lake. In July, we always go to the coast.
Yeah.
We go stay at Cape Kellett. And that's where I grew up in the summertime. Every summer when I was growing up, we stayed at Cape Kellett. The number of times we walked from Cape Kellett to Sachs for supplies, I can't even count them. And these were when I was a little girl packing my brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
People used to live on seal some days.
Yep.
Really?
That's what really brought this community up, was sealing and foxes.
Yeah.
Seals were, they were pretty, they were selling lots some days.
Oh, okay.
And people would get seals all summer. Yeah.
We never used to have whales. We never used to see whales.
No, I remember that too. Yeah.
Now we see whales every year. We're not lucky this year that we never got any whales, but we did see, they did, not me, but they did see killer whale this summer here.
An orca. Yeah. That's insane. What you thought when you saw that, Uncle?
I don't know, I just, at the last minute I saw it.
Yeah.
They keep saying right there, right there. I'm blind, I didn't have my glasses. But the last time it came up, it wasn't too far.
Yeah. So there was a killer whale.
I think it was just a young one though, because
Probably. They usually go in
there were
pods.
whales, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was lost or something,
Yeah, and they,
following the bull or belugas were.
beluga.
Yeah.
There was some belugas here.
My first instinct when I heard that was, our poor seals are not going to know what to do with that. Like,
Well, seals too, they've been
Not very much.
really changed over the years.
Really?
They're so wild right now, and you
Oh.
can't even.
I
Hard to hunt, especially in the water. So everything is changing.
Everything's changing.
Yeah.
I remember I only went sealing with you once, you and Greg, and there was so many seals all together. I was just shocked.
Yeah, they do that in the fall time.
In the fall time?
Yeah, in the fall time they gather
up
together.
and travel.
Yeah.
But that's what we used to always do, is we hunt seals all summer.
Yeah.
And they trap foxes all winter. Like my dad used to, when I was growing up, my dad used to be away from home most of winter. He used to come home for a few days and then he'd go right back out.
Oh.
So he was gone all throughout the winter, from November right until April, because that's a fox season. Sometimes he's gone for a month.
Yeah.
And then he's home for a few days, and then he goes back out. And then after that, he went into Cope.
Oh, yeah. So he was
that-
a part of Cope when it first started then?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, most of the elders were. Yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't know that was done in secret. Cope? So it was an organization that wasn't really talked about outside of the community.
Yes.
Yeah.
They got together. They did a lot. They went in, but right today now we got our land claims, which is
Yes. So COPE led to the signing of the IFA.
Yes.
Yeah, with the elders and the leaders that got together and fought for our benefits, our final agreement that they gave. Yeah.
But growing up here, it's been, everybody has hard times. Like, things are getting so hard nowadays with cost of living. It's just like the government told us to move into their houses. Now they're forcing us out of their house.
It's so expensive.
It's so expensive to live in their house, so it seems like they're just like forcing us going back.
I know some people who are choosing to go live back out on the land because it's cheaper.
It is.
Than paying rent or paying a mortgage. Yeah. I wanted to ask about like what it's like when you guys go traveling to Messick, or if you guys ever go as far as Nelson Head.
We did one year, right?
Yes. It was that year where it really rained.
Was that 2010? Well, I was with you guys with Messick.
Oh, it was dried up or what?
No.
There was a lot of the whole group of us, we started something when my dad passed away. We started, my dad, when he passed away, we brought him all over the land.
Yeah.
We spread his ashes all over the land because he told us there's no way he wanted to be buried in the ground when he lived in the cold when he was so young. He said there's no way he wanted to be buried 6 feet in a frozen ground when he was frozen most of his life.
Yeah.
So we buried him by spreading his ashes on all of his places that he traveled, where he trapped, where he was born. He was born in Sea Otter, and all over the areas that he loved going.
So that's why we went to Messick?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was when we went to Messick, but in regards to Nelson Head, there we tried. That was our last trip, I think, that we ever did. Since then, we haven't.
Back by there.
Yeah.
We went to DeSalis.
We were going to DeSalis. We couldn't cross the river, so we had no water. There was no water around. There was a pond, so we had to drink from that pond. We couldn't find. There was no snow around, no ice around, and so we couldn't cross the river. They tried to cross the river, but because of the climate change, it got mud.
The rivers were just mud, no water.
How strange. What year was this?
2019.
Yeah, just a few years ago.
There was so much mudslides and that the rivers were just muddy.
Strange. I do remember mudslides out that way.
Yeah, a lot. And we couldn't even cross some rivers because it's just straight mud.
Yeah.
So we had to come back, and we came back by Nelson Head. Lucky to find some snow.
Oh, what we found that snow. We had to drink, for traveling along the way, we tried to camp wherever there was a pond. Yeah. Even though we knew that pond was dirty. We tried to filter it with best we could with J-cloths and that. But that's when we were traveling, there was John and Samantha, Larry and Yvonne, me and you, Kevin, Doreen,
Yeah.
And what's that? We coming back and Yvonne and John, I think Lucas was ahead, and they see that snow. Oh, we sure stopped right away.
We camped there for 2 days.
Yeah.
Oh, that
Rested.
sounds nice.
It's a beautiful
Yeah,
country.
we get
It is.
try travel around every summer.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember when we went to Messick that year and they found those really big Quyanaq?
Quyanaq, yeah.
Remember?
Yeah.
On top of that cliff.
In that valley.
They're usually just small, and these ones were huge.
And those mushrooms that
I don't remember the mushrooms.
John got.
Oh, he got some?
Yeah, there was a lot of mushrooms there. Big mushrooms like this.
Mm-hmm. Did you try them?
No.
Oh.
I wanted to.
He wanted to, but there's a lot of different mushrooms on the island.
Yeah.
We don't. I know that there was one teacher at one time that did eat these mushrooms, but us we don't know which one's safe and which is
which
not.
one's not, yeah.
So we're not going to take a chance, especially being that far away.
I just remember you were the only one that tried those huge Quyanaq, and you said they were sour.
Oh, they're good, but they're good.
Yeah.
And we use those for our oil.
Yeah. Does it make your oil sweet?
I think it
they're
does.
sweet.
I like it.
Yeah, it's
Like a zingy taste to it.
yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't try one way up there. Mm-hmm.
They're just like rhubarb.
Oh, okay.
That's what everybody calls it. They're just like rhubarb. But I know that some people make salad with it in town and use it in tea. But us, we like in our oksok.
Yeah. When you guys travel, is it usually always in a big group or?
Far ways.
Yeah, when we go on a long trip. But
Yeah.
short trips we just usually
Just you guys.
Yeah.
family.
You ever run into wolves or bears? You said caribou. I know muskox.
Always animals out
Oh.
there.
Yes, we see wolves. We see bears. Always see them. They're around all the time.
There was a bear just this morning behind your house.
Yeah, that's getting to be normal every fall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Larry said it used to be normal long ago. It slowed down for a bit, but now it's...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when we were growing up, they used to have to watch because there was not very many houses. And there used to be bears. Like I remember a few times my dad just got a bear right outside of our house when I was growing up. And as we were in school.
Yeah.
So it used to happen long ago, but the number of houses in town, it slowed down. But now bears, with the lack of ice around now, they stay close to town because of the dump and there's no ice, no seals, so they try and get what they could. So now they're getting more and more brave. They're actually coming around the houses. They're going on decks. It's going towards people's windows and everything. It's getting scary.
And people are really fast, though, with letting everyone know in the community, I find. If anything, this community, out of all communities I've ever seen, really fast. Everyone lets everyone know.
Social media and phones.
Yeah.
Yep.
I remember one year, 2017, it was like dark out, like 1 and 2 in the morning, fall time, and someone called Greg, because he was the ENR patrolman. Someone called him, said there's a bear outside of, now it would be Darren and Florence's. And I look out my window, and all I saw was 4-wheeler lights just going every single
Yeah,
house, pretty much.
that still happens. There's Right after the bears, though, they start having to watch for wolves because there's a lot of wolves now around. No, and their wolves are coming into town now too.
See, when I lived here 7 years ago, there was no wolves, hardly anything.
Oh, there's lots now. There's last year especially there was quite a few. There's getting to be pretty big packs around now. And last year they were coming right into town. There was at one time there was 2 in town at one time.
Well, when I was growing up, my mid-20s, 30s, no wolves around on the island. And they start moving in, I guess. Yeah, after they killed them long ago, killed them all.
Oh, they did.
Not many of them hanged around here. They start coming up from the north, I guess, Melville and that.
Yeah.
But now there's a lot too.
I wonder if it's because the caribou population went back up.
I don't know, could be.
Is
Plus there was a lot of muskox too.
I was gonna ask that. Is there still lots of muskox now?
There's still muskox around, yeah.
Not as much as there was before, but they're still around. You still gotta go quite a ways now for some of them. But they're both leveled out again.
Yeah.
Like how they were when we were growing up. I think they both leveled out, the both caribou and the muskox.
The type of caribou you guys have here is prairie caribou.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember Earl Isa looking out just over there, and he said, I can't tell, I'm from Tuck. I grew up with blue nose or porcupine, mostly blue nose, and he said, I can't tell if that's a caribou or a wolf. And I was dead confused why he said that. And then they were caribou, and I saw them and I was like, oh yeah, I guess it's really hard to tell.
Yeah, they're small compared to the other caribou.
The mainland.
Yeah. But they're the tenderest caribou.
I was just going to say, but I've heard arguments that they're the tastiest caribou out of all of them. I do agree with ptarmigan. Ptarmigan here just different than ptarmigan on the mainland.
Well, ptarmigan mainland's lots of willows.
Yeah.
And ptarmigan here is
rock.
Yeah. And they're tasty, and this time now they're starting to come down. It's just like the rabbits. Like we get a rat. There's so many rabbits in town. You walk around town, you could count how many rabbits there.
And they're like bigger than a dog up here.
Nobody hunts them in town.
No.
My dad, when we were growing up, they used to go in what's that?
Snares?
No.
A trap?
They used to go in a lot of caribou, lots one year, and next year there's nothing.
Oh, cycles.
Cycles.
Yeah.
And I remember my dad telling us one time there's so much time. It's just like the hill is moving.
Yeah.
There's so many rabbits.
In 2018, when Greg moved back to Inuvik, we were going for a ride, and we seen a rabbit on the road, and it went into the willows, and I was like, look at that cute baby! And Greg laughed and said, that's not a baby, Margaret. It's an adult. The rabbits in Sachs are just really big. But yeah, no, they're definitely different in size. I'm just gonna check the time. How much time we have?
Nowadays they don't
35.
Hunt rabbits because the kids nowadays they're so used to seeing them around here. I think the idea of eating them, they don't like the idea of eating them.
Cute.
Yeah, so we don't.
It's like seeing animals in a farm or a zoo or something.
Yeah.
So they don't eat them. They're not used to it. So they never grew up with them. So we don't hunt them around here. Yeah.
I brought the girls for a ride the other night, and we were driving just at the other end of town, and we seen 2 rabbits, and they stood up and just started fighting, and Emery's like, yeah, look at them box. Her little hands were, she's like, I like when rabbits box. So we shone the light on them, and then they both just looked at us and stopped boxing. But yeah, it's funny.
Everybody, I think, kind of feeds them in town.
I think so.
Fresh vegetables, anything, fruit, anything. It's just instead of throwing them in the garbage now, they're just throwing them out the door.
And they're all over town now.
Yes, they're all over town.
Yeah.
There's lots outside of the school. There's lots of, well, there's between, in the fall time, there's lots between the houses. You see them walking down the road.
Yeah.
It's just like, the other thing about it is, about that is that that's not the only animals that we see lots of now. When we were growing up, in regards to geese, we never used to get Canada geese here.
Oh, really?
Never. It used
Or yellow legs.
Or yellow legs. It was odd. We used to get straight snow white snow geese.
Yeah.
And so whenever we see an odd one, a black one, we used to try and shoot them. We don't try to shoot them anymore.
They're in here often now.
Oh, we see there's lots of Canada geese. They're walking down the road with their young ones. They're coming in between the houses and everything. We don't hunt those Canada geese because
they don't go up to Egg River.
They're all over the place, though.
There's a colony over in the east around Nelson Head somewhere around where they nest, I guess.
One thing I know about you guys too, guaranteed every year you guys go to Egg River.
Not us anymore. Our kids do.
Okay. Too much slush?
It's long drive now.
Yeah.
It's a long drive. Our kids make the trip for us now. And so they get the eggs that we need for the year, and us, we just stay at home and watch the kids, grandchildren. If they can stay, but more than likely they're not staying too.
Yeah.
Except for this year, they did have to stay because they said that the parents said they were just going to rush up and rush down because you can't tell when the river's going to go now. It's really.
How strange.
Like we expected, for example, this year we expected it to thaw out really fast because it was really warm in early, but we had the longest spring. We never used to fish at the lakes in the beginning of June, and we were at the lakes at the beginning of June this year.
How strange.
And then we got back, and they had to run. The kids said they were planning to go up to Egg River. They were lucky to make it to Egg River, and they barely made it back.
How crazy.
That's how fast it could melt. One day it could be really frozen, next day it just melts now.
How was the main run this year? It was
nothing.
No, well.
We didn't see it really.
No.
It's so bad weather, different kind of weather. They go by different ways, I guess.
Parts, yeah. Well, that's how, like, when I lived here, I never did see a main run. And Greg used to say, it's going to come, years. Then 1 year, like, I swear there must have been 500,000 geese. I couldn't, like, my neck was sore looking like at the sky.
We used to see line after line after line. But this past couple of years, it hasn't been like that. In fact, this year, because it was so cold all through May, the geese never came. And when they went to pick eggs, they said there's not as much geese as there usually was.
I think they, like, stayed on the mainland.
That's what we heard. A lot of them stayed across there. But I heard even in Tuck area, they never got as much geese as
They
this year.
didn't, no.
This year was a really weird year for it was so cold.
In the springtime it was really cold.
Mm-hmm.
You guys still have your tent, your pop-up tent?
Yep.
Yeah. Remember how handy that came in?
Yeah,
at Sea Otter?
when we were coming back from Sea Otter.
Yeah.
And we ran into rain, and everybody got soaked, and so we had to pop the tent, and everybody had to dry off as much as we could.
That was the coolest tent. I remember being just miserable because we were soaked.
Yeah.
Like, we were soaked. And 4 people, one at each corner, pop, 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 just snapped right up.
Yeah, we still got that one. It's we use it at the lake now for when we're working on our fish. Yeah.
What about you, Uncle? You still like to do hunting?
Yes.
Yeah?
Never give up.
You never went polar bear hunting or anything?
No,
No?
I quit that too.
Too much work?
Too much work. Yeah.
It's not only that. The last time you went polar bear hunting, that's when we found out our son was allergic to polar bear.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
He got his first polar bear, and then wondering how come he was getting hives. That is, he grew up around polar bears, like John got polar bears and that. We never noticed nothing.
Yeah.
Like I worked on polar bears with him around before. But for some reason, he got his first polar bear and we were working on it, and next thing he come out, we find out he's allergic to polar bear.
Yeah.
So after that, you never hunt polar bear after that.
No. What do you like to go hunting for then now?
Geese.
Geese? Yeah.
Something easy.
And Auntie, oh my goodness, I'm just going to state this. You're a professional goose plucker.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Okay, 6 years ago, I'm sorry, my mother-in-law, 20, like not even, must have been around 20, and you're like, I did 33, and you're just
Not anymore. I think age
Yeah.
catches up to me, but my daughter now took over and she does the same thing as I did.
Yeah.
Oh, they can pluck lots.
I
They
can't.
they pluck all of our geese all of year, and we get a lot of geese,
Yeah.
and they pluck them all.
Yeah. No, I do not have the thumb for it. It takes a strong hand to be able to do that. Yeah. Is there anything else you wanted to add? Anything else you want to talk about before we wind down to the end?
Not really, no.
It went fast, but I like the idea of you're doing these videos because it gives insight for the younger next generation to see how our lives were, at least a story of what we went through. Like my kids know what we went through because I talk to them a lot. But a lot of people don't realize what we grew up with and how different it is nowadays.
It is very different. I seen a picture of, like, how many children you guys have? 3,
6.
4, 6. And I remember, like, 4 of them, and they're all smiling with, like, a can of pop when they're all young. And I was looking at it, I was like, whoa. Because I'm comparing it to the price for a can of pop here in Sachs Harbour is like $5. I'm like, that's like $20 a pop right there. But it was like, the 90s. Yeah. Yeah. So I want to thank you for coming on and doing my show. You guys were first on my list when I was coming up to Sachs. And I was deciding who I could ask to interview. And I was like, I'm going to ask John and Donna Keogak, my uncle and aunt. But yeah, do you guys Are you guys good? Are you guys done?
I'm good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you for coming on the show.
You're very welcome.
You're welcome.
Yes, and thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.
I